Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raquel Tolson. This podcast is to help you to experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Now, let me do my disclaimer. I am not a Bible scholar. I'm not a pastor, preacher, prophet, or any of those things. I am a God-worshiping, Jesus-loving, Bible-believing, New Thought Christian who believes that God blesses us according to our faith and how we work his principles. So now if you're ready to be encouraged and entertained, then you are in the right place. I am broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, a nonprofit charitable radio broadcaster with a mission to empower, encourage, and educate. If you're enjoying the Blessed Podcast, please donate. Go to www.wytv7.org. This month is sponsored by Tolson's Publishing. We have a new book. It'll be out for just in time for Easter. Ren's affirmation, God is good and so am I. In this world today, we have to build resilient children. So this is a book you want them to have because they need to know that everything God is, they are too. All right, you can get your book at www.tolsonbooks.com/shop. You can go right there. You can pre-order your God is Good and you will get it for Easter. All right, so today, this is the last day for our last interview for Women's History Month. I am interviewing women who are making her story. And I have two authors with me for this interview. So we're going to be doing a lot of talking. I have Avery Good and Weiner Crumbly. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's just introduce you to the audience. Avery, you go first. Well, first I want to say I had this little joke because, I feel like I'm a comedian. But Weiner is from the UK. Avery is from the OK.
That's good.
I just thought that was so funny when I said it. I'm sorry. That's fine. My son is probably going to listen to this like, oh, my God, really, Mom? I thought that was really funny. Anyway, so Avery, you start. Just tell everybody who you are and just a little bit about you.
Well, I am Avery Good from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. However, I have called Atlanta, Georgia home since 2006. I am an author of 7 contemporary fiction novels. I love to write. I love writing as much as I love breathing. And my readers, they never know what they're going to get with me. I just always give them whatever God puts on my heart to write.
I love it. Okay, Weiner, tell everybody about you.
Hi, guys. So I am Weiner Crumbly and born and raised in the UK, but I now live in the U.S., in North Carolina, actually. And I am a gospel recording artist. I am a brand new author. And just wanting to inspire women of all kinds. And under the umbrella of my company called HERS, which is an acronym for Having Every Reason to Smile.
Oh, I love that. We just had a lady on that was talking about sunshine and being the sunshine and being and smile and brighten everybody's day. So that's like perfect. Oh my gosh. So these ladies are both, Weiner, right? I'm saying Weiner.
Yes, Weiner.
You are a singer, but I want to talk about the writing because even your singing, I'm sure you write some of your songs, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you are a writer. That's what I'm saying. Even though you just not starting with the books, you have always been a writer. And I think for the most part, a lot of people have stuff in them. God gives us stuff because that's how we got the Bible. If you think about it, God gave all these people something to write, and then they wrote all these letters. They was writing all this stuff, and then they put it all together. So I just feel like writers are some of the most important people in this world because it, like you said, Avery, you write basically what God puts on your heart, whether it comes out in a a Christian, a nonfiction, Christian fiction, contemporary fiction, or whatever, children's books. We are really just kind of, God lays something on our hearts and we write. So, Wayne, I want to start with you this time. Tell me, like, what's your why? Why do you write music? Why do you write books? What is your why?
My why has always been my family. And so for me, just sharing God's love and showing them how, in spite of whatever it is that you may be going through, if you really tap into that power that God gave us, you are going to be just fine. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6 is something that I always lean on when I've taught my kids, my family in general. And, it's just trusting God. And no matter what, he gave us this power to smile through it. And so this is pretty much what I write about in my songs. I want to be encouraging, but also just, in my writings with real life, we go through stuff, especially as women, and we multitask as much as, anybody can. And still, we make it through. And it's because of that innate power that God has given us. And then we end up smiling when it's all said and done because we make it. We always come out on time.
Yes, you know what, Wayne, I always say, I used to tell my son, find the funny and stuff.
Absolutely.
Even in the bad stuff, you might not want to laugh in front of people, but you can find some funny. And I used to do it because, like, if he would fall when he was little, of course you want to see if they're okay, but then it was kind of funny that they fell. And I couldn't help myself, so I just used to tell him, look, we got to find the funny in life, because life gonna do some stuff to you, so you got to find the funny. So I love that.
Life happens.
Yes. So Avery, what is your why?
Well, writing to me was therapy. I was going through a really tough time in my life. A lot of people don't know. It's a story that I've just recently started sharing, but I was a victor of domestic violence because I did overcome that. And so when I was going through, I didn't really want to write about my story because it was too heavy. And I mean, honestly, who wants to write about what they're going through when they're going through it? Because in that moment, you really don't know when you're going to come out or even how you're going to come out. So I started to write as an escape. I started creating crazy characters who did crazy things, honestly, that I wish I could. And once God did bless me to come out of that situation, I found that I loved to write for entertaining because reading a book is probably the most inexpensive vacation anyone can ever take. So that's really my why. I mean, I started writing to heal myself because I would be no good to my family until I was okay. If the head hurts, the whole body ain't no good.
Oh, that is so good. You know what? And I read that about that. We have known each other now for a few years, and I never knew that about you. And then I looked at your website and our article or something you were speaking about. That was like, oh my goodness. Because, when I look at you and I see, I mean, first of all, you're tall, but then everybody is tall. To me, I'm like 5'2" and a half. Let me put my half on there. So everybody is taller than me. But like Avery, I look at you and you have this like large stature. You're not just your height, but you just have this large personality. And I'm thinking, how the heck somebody was, violent with you? And, and that's just like so deep to me. And I'm like, I hope that one day you will even put that, because women have to know that even though they're strong, sometimes they can get into situations that just overpower them. Oh, can you unmute? Yeah, tell me about that. Like, just were you always the strong woman that I met?
Well, you know what? I didn't know that I was, honestly. I'm not going to say that I had low self-esteem because I didn't. I had an older sister who was larger than life, literally. And so I basically lived for her approval. And everything that I did, it was for her approval, only to find out that my sister really didn't like me. She loves me, but she really didn't like me very much. One day, a friend of mine was like, you know what, you are so much better than this. And then I had people started speaking into my who-ness, you know, that who-ness, like, not only do I know who I am now, I know whose I am. And so God had to put people in my life to tell me, you know, who I was and to remind me, you know, of who I was, because of course, you know, when enough people tell you bad things, you'll start to believe that. But I think that as I started to grow older, I became more aware of who I was, and then I stopped seeking the validation from my sister and even from other people. When I got with old Applehead, it was just one of those things like, you know, you only know so much about a person what they are willing to share. And so as long as you know a person's representative and then they don't show you who they are, you can really be misled. However, in that situation, you know, there are, you know, red flags and there are signs, and I am going to write about it. Actually, that's something that God dropped in my spirit. But there are signs, and they're so deceptive. I mean, like, you never know that that's an actual sign, because sometimes we mistake those things as caring gestures, and they're really not. So I think that it is important that as women, we do know how to identify those signs and then be able to create plans to escape those type of situations. But, I mean, when I was going through that at that point, I was like, oh, no, girl, this is not who you are, boo. Unfortunately, you know, we were here in Georgia. We didn't have any family, and so it was basically sink or swim. So I sank for a little bit, but I didn't drown until God blessed me to swim. And so the person who you see now, I can do the breaststroke.
I love it. I love it. So, Wayner, you know, I was just listening to Avery's story, and then I think about you, you know, somebody who, you know, sings and you inspire, you know, like, so when you are creating, especially like your music, your songs, because music to me, when I'm not going to read a book, I'm going to listen to some music. So music is just like, that's why the lyrics of some songs, I mean, changed my life. Like Kirk Franklin, people can say whatever they want to say about Kirk Franklin, but I wasn't about to listen to no gospel stations. So I had to be, Kirk Franklin needed to be on the popular station so I could hear a word from God to change my mind. You know, because I was done with God. I was like I didn't kill myself. I thought about it, but I was like, well, you know what? I'm just done with God. So that music, it's important, the lyrics. So when you write your words, you know, when you're encouraging, where do you get that from? I know I'm sure it comes from God, but like, do you think about stuff that you've been through, or like you hear stories, like maybe Avery's story, and it makes you like want to, you know, encourage that person? How do you do that?
So similar to Avery, I actually sing for therapy. So when I am stressed out, you know, everybody goes through something in their life. Sometimes we go through multiple things in our lives, right? And I am no exception. And so I sing for that reason, to just kind of push through that. My genre of choice is gospel. And I totally, I really believe that, you know, each of us have this power within us to just be something greater than we actually see in the mirror every day. So no matter what we're going through, there's still that power to overcome. So for me, when I was younger, I went through the whole colorism thing. I went through, you know, not feeling sure about myself. And that gift that God gave me in my voice is something that transcended all of that. So now I'm an adult, and I, again, have been through, life has happened with marriage, with, you know, just raising my children up, things that happen in that whole universe, you know, that we go through. And just really now knowing that the additional powers that God has given me in writing, I can actually tell a little bit about my story too. So it's just really, therapy is a great word. I love that she used that. And also I have a song that actually has a lyric in there that says, knowing who and whose I am, because I'm a child of the Almighty King. So from that alone means that I can overcome. But I do agree that, you can get away from yourself sometimes when you're writing and just become whomever it is that you want to be. You can share a story about whatever it is that you want to share, and you hope that the reader actually catches that vision and latches onto it. And maybe it can help them along the way too. So writing has become the new thing for me in terms of books, but it's always been there, like you say, from singing.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because I'm also a writer, and I usually write after I go through some of what, actually while I'm going through it, I will start doing the research process and I'll start jotting notes down. But then it's like really after, for the most part, when God takes me out of it, he like, okay, now see what you just did? See what you went through? Other people going through that. Write it. Let them know how you got through it. So like my book, Why Are Church Folk Poor? And everybody really has, some people love the title and then some people hate the title. We're not poor. But it was like, because that's what I was doing. I'm church folk. That's me. I'm talking about me. And it's like, why I don't have what I want? Why I don't have what I was thinking I couldn't buy a house? Like, why? So it was like, I started writing and I'm like, put this stuff out because I'm like, I needed it. So I like kind of write for me. And even my fiction books, even my Undefiled, it's got, some crazy stuff, but it actually was something that loosely kind of happened to me. But how I was thinking about something, it was like, why do I think like that? That's not a good way to think. And then I thought about it, I was like, I wonder if other people think like that. But it's not like, I can't call it Christian fiction. Avery, you know about this. I can't call it Christian fiction because I got people in there, they smoking, they drinking, smoking weed, not just smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. Because, I live in LA and that's kind of what people do. Not just in LA, I'm sure, but, Colorado, everywhere is legal. But people wouldn't do it if it ain't legal, right? But they drinking, they have sex, and I can't call it Christian fiction. But I think it's something that people need to hear, even though I can't call it Christian fiction. So Avery, like how do you do, like when you like love God and you're Christian, but there's some things that we got to put in books that's just real.
Well, you know what? When we first came to LA, I met this woman at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Oh, my God, she was the most amazing woman ever. And she sang this song that just, you could tell that she was anointed, and it just made every hair on my leg and back and neck just stand up. I just felt so connected with God. And so she and we ended up connecting, and I was telling her, I was like, I write, she was like, what do you do? And I was like, I write books. And I knew she was saved. And I was like, but I don't write faith-based books. And she was like, don't you ever say but. Whatever it is that you got, God gave to you. So she said, be proud in that. She was like, tell me about your book. So I told her about Head Doctor. And she was like, don't you know that there's a ministry in that book may actually bring a couple together. And then one thing that she said, which made me think, she was like, you're a saved woman, and you can tell that in the books that you write. And I was like, wow. In my first book, Dishonest, I actually wrote the sinner's prayer of repentance. I wrote it out so that whoever reads it, maybe, they'll read it out loud, or maybe it'll resonate within them when they see something that this character is going through, and they'll be like, oh, I recognize a lot of that person's struggle in my own life. Maybe if, even though this is fiction, this might work for me. I write truth fiction, and just whatever, Dishonest, a lot of truth off in that book. I just embellished, a little bit and changed the names to protect the guilty, but you'll see a lot of me, you'll see a lot of my friends, and then a lot of people who I really don't know and I've never met in those books. And I really do believe that was God, not to get preachy, but the word says every good and perfect gift comes from the Father above, who has no shadow of turning. He's like, I put that in you. I knew that you were going to write about that, but I knew that it was going to help this person. And that's really what it's all about, is connecting with the reader. And at the end of that book, did you get something out of it other than a baby? Because that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I mean, like, that is so, I'm so glad that person told you that, because I struggle, because I haven't written another fiction book since Under Vow, because I'm just like, I don't, when people think about like your brand and, okay, I just don't know. And it's just like, okay, where do I go? Like, what kind of books do I really want to write? Because I want, my whole thing is I want to write about books that make people think about what they're thinking about. So that's not always tied up neatly, because if it's tied up neatly and cute and stuff, are people really thinking about that? Or does it make them think about how they thinking or how they living? I was like, sometimes it needs to be a little gritty, because even just the whole judgmental part of it, like how we judge people. I mean, we are so good at judging. Thank God, because of Facebook and all that, we judge people every day. And people that say they don't, they lying. They lying. We judge people every day. All of us do. Because we own it. We like, how she do that? Why she wearing that? I can't believe they talking to their kids. I can't believe they letting their kids do that. We do it. It's just in our nature. But that's not good. We shouldn't be doing that. So, I mean, like, the only way to kind of really get people to, like, kind of snap out of it, to me, sometimes it's just, like, showing that whole gritty stuff, all the stuff that they don't want people to know that they're doing. That's just kind of how I think about it. So, okay, I asked you about your whys. What inspired you? Like, do you have, like, people that inspired you to do what you do? Like, are the authors or the women that somebody was just saying, girl, you so funny, you should do this? I mean, like, what inspired you to start? Like, Wayna, let's start with you.
Okay. All right. So what inspired me to start was actually the passing of my father. Mm-hmm. You know how when you're growing up, your parents tell you can do and be anything you want to be. Mm-hmm. And then somehow you get pigeonholed into trying to get a career and you start working that life. When my father passed, it kind of sort of put my life in perspective. He was a great man and just really always told us to strive for the moon. And if you don't hit the moon, you fall among the stars, right? So when I was transitioning through that passing, it's like, I was like, well, why can't I be this person? And why can't I do those things? And why not? And that's actually how I got into, really believing that I could sing for others to hear on a larger scale, and that I could write for others to read on a larger scale. So that's actually how it started for me, thinking more globally than I did when I was a little younger.
Cool. What about you, Avery? What inspired you to start?
Well, to start writing a new project, or period?
And not just the writing, because you said that you wrote because it was like your therapy, but even to publish, to like actually put your writings out there. What made you do that?
Ooh, you know what? I think that publishing anything, whether it's fact or fiction, it kind of exposes a vulnerability in a person. But I was inspired to, I guess, keep going in that process because someone read my work and they cussed me out lovingly. And that's what I call it, because, I mean, it was so funny. And she was like, oh, my God, when I read this book, all I could see was myself in that. And so even though I write, I think I pushed the envelope a little bit in some of the things that I put out there, but I've had some people who are non-Black tell me that they love my book Crying Meadows, and that it was one of the best books that they've ever read. And I had a man here in the entertainment community tell me that Crying Meadows he was like, oh my God, I'm gonna see if I can get this book to Jordan Peele. I was like, from your lips to God's ears, but I think what inspires me to keep going is the response that I get from my readers, and just the way that I feel when it's like having a new kid that you don't have to put diapers on. It's great. It's like a new baby that you don't have to feed, and you can leave it at home in the dark and they won't call CPS on. It's a great feeling. And so that inspires me to keep going. I love people, I love books, and I just love literacy. I think the more that we read, the better that we speak, the better we can do math. There's so many benefits from reading a good book.
Yes. You know what? And you just said that because I love your tagline, be good or be good at it. You said you write good books for good people. And it's just like, I'm like, I love your last name because you got all of those cool little sayings like Avery Good. I write good books for good people, and you can't be good at it. And I'm like, I just love it. That is like so awesome. So I know I think our time is kind of started going down a little bit, but let me just ask you, Avery, just tell everybody about all the titles of your books, and then how can they find them?
Well, I have Dishonest. And you can find, first of all, you can find all of my books either on my website, which is www.averygoodsworld.com, or on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. So I have Dishonest, which is my very first book. Then I got Pillow Princess, which I totally love. And that has a part 2. I just don't have it because it keeps selling out. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank God.
And then I have Crying Meadows, which is now available in hardback, and I'm super excited about that. And then I have Head Doctor Part 1 and Head Doctor Part 2, a frequel. Feel free to use that.
Frequel?
It's a freaky sequel. Yes, and I'm actually running a book special for those of us who are going to be sick and shut in.
All of us.
Yeah, so just hit a real G, because that's who I am. I am a real G. Just hit a real G up like me, and I'll tell you what my current specials are. But yeah, you can get all of those, online, and I ship books, autographed books, shipped directly from my site. So I encourage people to get it from there or see me out on the road somewhere.
Right. And I just before we go to Wayner, I just want to say, I love you because you embraced me when we were out at some function, and you embraced me and my child. My son actually is friends with your daughter, and he calls when he gets to Atlanta. It was like some real stuff, and you make sure that I know about stuff so I can go and sell my books. It's like there is, sometimes you would think there'd be competition, but it's like it's enough money for everybody. There's no lack, there's an abundance, and I love it. So thank you for for always looking out for me and being like a big sister to me who actually likes me. Thank you. So Wayner, where can people find your music and the books that are coming? Where can everybody find your stuff?
So you can find my music under Wayner Crumbly. I'm on all digital outlets. You can also visit my webpage, which is hersbywayner.com. That's HERS by WEINER.com. And also, I am a part of an anthology that just came out in hard copy. And so a group of women talked about inspirational things and just life that happened to them. And so that's called Unbreakable. And that is available right now on the Amazon and also on the hard copy. So.
Okay, and when are your books coming out?
My personal books, it should be this year. I will tell you, I have changed titles. I have, it's just gone through some motions with some things, but hopefully by the summer is my plan to actually get it in print. It will probably start off as an ebook available on Amazon, but it will be in print. So I'm just excited to share.
Okay. So look, we have to get ready to go, but I just want both of you all just to, if you had one word or one piece of advice for women out there who are creative types like us, who wanted to start writing, start publishing, start singing, whatever, what piece of advice would you give them? And we'll start with you, Wayner. What piece of advice would you give them?
Don't put age in front of your destiny. So regardless of what age you are, you might have put off things for some time. Don't let that be your crutch. If it is in you, if God gave you that power to be whatever it is, go for it. Don't put age in front of your destiny.
Yes, I love that. Avery, what's your advice?
The comma is probably the best punctuation that we have in the world because it continues your journey. Do not put a period after anything. I mean, even if you fail, get up, don't quit. You got this. And even if no one else believes in you, believe in yourself. God made your arms long enough to pat yourself on the back.
Yes, as I pat myself on the back. Yes. You ladies have been awesome. I'm so glad that you joined me today. And we ending up Women's International Women's History Month with a bang because you guys were so awesome. And I know for a fact that somebody was blessed by listening to you all. Please join my Tribe Called Blessed on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, Tribe Called Blessed. So you can put in your website, tell everybody about books, your new books coming out, your books when they come out, your music. You can share in that group. And if you're out there listening and you haven't joined the Tribe Called Blessed, please do that. Just go to Facebook, Tribe Called Blessed. If you go to WYTV7, I think I have a banner there, and the Tribe Called Blessed, you can find it, and you can just click on, go straight to it. We are out of time. I hope everybody has had a great Women's History Month, and please make your own Her Story. Start now. You're not too old, and you don't have to put a period behind something if you really want to do it. You just put the comma and keep on moving. All right, so until next week, be blessed. Remember, what God has done for others, He will do the same thing for you. Be blessed, everybody.